to all of our viewers today. Special talofa to all of our Year 10 communication students. Today's lesson will be focusing on how to write a letter. Year 10 Communication English, and today's lesson will be focusing on Strand 2, reading and viewing. Specifically, we'll be looking at letter writing. So we all should understand that this is one of the requirements for our exam is to write a letter. In our lesson today, we will learn the difference between an unsolicited letter and a solicited letter, the 9 principles of writing a letter, 8 parts of a business letter, and the layout styles commonly used in presenting a business letter. So always remember the 9 principles, the 8 parts, and the layout of presenting or writing a business letter. Our specific learning outcomes that we will be covering in our lesson today from our unpacking is to name parts of a cover letter. So in any letter there should date, address, salutation, introduction, a body and closing, and also a signature. Identify the different parts of a cover letter or a letter. Identify who the letter is addressed to. Identify the appropriate salutation. State key words in a given text. Write an effective subject line. List key ideas used in different texts. Describe the function of each part of a cover letter. Outline a formal format suitable for a letter. And the last specific learning outcome is outline the necessary mood or tone suitable for the letter. So first of all, we need to understand the different types of letters. So the first type is a solicited letter. A solicited letter, this letter is specifically if a company announces an opening, the letter is considered solicited because it was requested. So remember, if you're writing an application letter for a job that was advertised in the newspaper, on TV, on the radio, this means that the company is yes, they know that you are writing for the opening that they have advertised. So that being said, your letter is expected. So that is an example of a solicited letter. Unsolicited letter, this is if the company has not asked for applications. So the company is not expecting your letter. So these letters are normally general letters and they are not expecting your letter as I've mentioned. So this is an example unsolicited letter. So in easy terms, solicited letters are letters that they know that you are writing for a given opportunity of employment. So if you're applying for a job that was advertised, that means that letter that you are writing specifically for that opening is a solicited letter. Unsolicited letter, that your application or the letter that you are submitting was not expected. So this is the first part and very important part when you are writing a letter. These are the different parts of a letter: the date, the inside address, salutation, subject line, the body part of your letter. Remember, in the body it has paragraphs. Different paragraphs have a specific main points or main idea. It is followed by complimentary close and a signature block. So these parts of the letter, they will be further discussed within our lesson today. So the first thing you need to remember is how the letter is formatted. On your right, the top right hand side of your letter, that is where the date is. Below the date, on the left hand side, there is an inside address. Then you have the salutation. Below the salutation is a subject line, followed by the body of your letter, complimentary close, followed by the signature block. Okay, so let's look at the 9 principles of writing a letter. The first principle is to be clear. Choose words your readers will understand. So this being said, try to make sure that your letter is very clear and use simple terms, avoid using technical jargons, so avoid using complicated words that it may change the meaning of your letter. Use short sentences and paragraphs. Remember, paragraphs, they separate your ideas. So always remember, when you use a paragraph, it indicates that there is a main idea or one main idea that is given in each paragraph. The sentences, they support that main idea. So again, be very clear with the choice of words that you use in your letter. Simple and direct language. Write to express, not to impress. And this is a very important key skill. Avoid trying to be too complicated because it will make your letter confusing for the person that is reading your letter or receiving your letter. Be complete and be concise. So to be complete, include all the details, all the points. Make sure that the main points, the reason behind your letter is clearly stated in your letter. Make sure you collect all the facts, complete an outline, and write a draft before your final copy. So always remember, when you are writing a formal letter, it's not something that you rush and then you submit it. Always remember to edit your letter first. Make sure that you have collected all the information that is required to be in your letter. Be concise. So say all that you want to say in the fewest words possible. So avoid being wordy. Like your idea is very simple, but when you're writing it down, it's very long and it seems very circular and it seems like you are repeating yourself over and over again. And to be concise, it reflects that your letter, it had a plan. So remember our steps of writing. Always remember to have a plan. And then after you have written your letter, you need to edit before submission. So remember our principle that we talked about before. KISS, keep it short and simple. Always remember, use the fewest words possible, but it does not hinder or it does not change the impact that you're trying to give or the main ideas that you're trying to express in your letter. Be concrete and be correct. So always remember, use words that have a clear and specific meanings. So to avoid confusion and your words become quite vague, the meaning of the words that are vague is because you are not using words that have specific meaning. So this is also a principle that you need to make sure when you are writing a letter. Be correct. So always remember, check the spelling. So this is during your editing process. Check the spelling, check the grammar and punctuation. So proofread and edit. So be cautious and be considerate. So being cautious means that you are positive and polite and use a helpful tone. So always remember, when you are writing, when people have received your letter, they are not offended by the tone that you have written your letter. Always remember to be positive. If you want to give your critical analysis on or feedback or critique about something, always remember to be polite. Be polite and use a helpful tone. So that skill is developed once you are planning to write your letter. Be considerate. So your attitude, it maintains considerate. So you have empathy from the person who you're writing to. Focus on the speaker, speak directly to them and address their needs. So always remember, and this relates again to being correct, make sure the information that you're writing your letter about is correct. So you make sure that you focus on the speaker and you speak directly to them and address those needs. Be coherent and be candid. A natural or logical order which makes sense. So sentences and paragraphs are. So make sure that your letter, it flows in a logical order. That being said, that everything makes sense from the beginning towards the end. Address the issue or the main reason of your letter. Make sure that there is space to address what you have written in your letter. And at the end of your letter,
that you leave a contact number, email for them to get back to you. So always make sure that your letter flows. Be candid, share knowledge with the reader, be sincere, and give straight answers. So again, using minimum words but with maximum impact. So if you think about that, maximum impact, so the idea is there, the reader understands what you are trying to portray in the most simplest way. So use simple forms of words. So 8 parts of a business letter. So this is very important. Before you write a letter, always remember that there are different parts of a letter. And this is the first part, is a letterhead. The importance of a letterhead, it identifies the writer, the full address and contact information, which includes the telephone numbers, fax numbers, email address, and also the website. So letterheads, if you think about it, it is only specific to companies or registered or formal organizations. If you are writing a letter on behalf of yourself, which you do not have a company or you do not have an organization, you wouldn't use a letterhead. An example of a letterhead, it would normally have that organization or that company's logo. So of course, as an individual, you wouldn't have a logo or you wouldn't have a specific letterhead because you do not have a company. So for example, the letterhead for the Ministry of Education, Sports and Culture. So this is an example of a letterhead. The Ministry of Education is a ministry, so any formal letter that is given through the Ministry of Education, at the top of every letter, it has their letterhead. So if you think about companies like SAP, BSL or the National Bank, ANZ, most of formal organizations and companies all have a letterhead which also has their logo. The dates. This is another very important part of your letter, to have a date. The date represents the date in which the letter was written. So for example, if you wrote the letter today and it was not completed and then you finally submitted or sent your letter on Friday, which date do you think you should use? The original date that you wrote the letter or the date that you submitted your letter? That's correct. You will use the date in which your letter was submitted, because that date, it specifically states that the letter was written and completed and submitted on that day. For example, Monday, 20th of June, 2022. Always remember that dates when you write letters, avoid using numerals or numbers. For example, which is given at the bottom, 20/05/22. So try to write the full date. The day, Monday, the month, which is June, and the 20th of June in the front, and 2022. So the inside address. This is a very important part of letters as well. The inside address, it gives the name of the recipient of the letter, so who you are writing to, and it also gives the full address. So inside the inside address, it should have the full name of the recipient or the person who you are writing to, the position or also known or of the designation of the person, the name of the organization, and the place where that organization or company is located. So again, these are the 4 main parts that should be inside your inside address: the name of the recipient or the person that you are writing to, their position, the name of the organization, and where the organization is located. Salutation. So salutation is a writer's greeting to the reader. So if you know the receiver's name, use it in the salutation like Dear John or Dear Mrs. Asolele. Or you can greet them by saying Dear Sir, Dear Ma'am, if you do not know the name of the receiver. You can also use Lausunga or Lawafionga in the Samoan context. The subject line is also a very important part of letters. The subject line, it identifies the letter subject or the person or the purpose, sorry, the subject, the person, or the reason why you are writing. It should be between 6 to 10 words, so avoid using a very long subject line. Again, minimize the words with a maximum impact. It is placed between the salutation, salutation is above, and the subject line is in the middle, just above the paragraph, the body paragraphs. Good. It can be shown as follows, so you can portray this or write the subject line in two ways, by putting RE, which is the reason, looking for sponsorship for our TV exhibition, or you can write subject, applying for financial support. So if you look at the first subject line, you are using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words, and the second one you are using 1, 2, 3, 4 words in the subject line. So again, make sure that it's between 6 to 10 words. So to try to simplify and truncate your long words or long paragraphs, you can explain the subject line within the body paragraph. So the body of your letter, it gives the detail of the letter. It usually consists of 3 to 4 paragraphs, and in each paragraph it has a particular purpose, and that purpose is trying to portray one main idea. So when we're thinking about paragraphs, we're not talking about very long paragraphs, and we will see this once we have read an example of a letter. So always try to make to divide your ideas into paragraphs, separate them from each other. It indicates that each paragraph has a main idea, and keep your sentences short and simple. Complementary close. So your complementary close should match the form of address used in the salutation. So this is another important skill. You can use yours faithfully when you do not know the receiver's name. So in your inside address, you genuinely, dear sir, you did not know the specific name of the person that you're writing to, so you will use yours faithfully in the complimentary close. You will use yours sincerely when you know and you have used the name of the person that you are writing the letter to in your salutation. So always remember the difference between yours faithfully if you do not know the receiver's name, yours sincerely when you know the name of the person that is receiving your letter. And last but not the least is the signature block. And it's very important at the end of your letter you need to sign, because this has the type written name of the writer of the letter with his or her job, title or position. So after you have written your name and also your position, and then you sign, the writer's signature is placed above the typewritten name to show evidence of originality. So this signifies that you wrote the letter and you agree with everything that you have stated in this letter. So when the person has read the letter, they know that the person mentioned in this letter actually wrote this letter. Originality. So there are different reasons why we write letters, and they are stated on our screen. So one is to respond to a complaint. One is when you are laying a complaint. Another reason when you're applying for an advertised job, so a solicited letter. One when you are genuinely applying for a job, so any job, no job in particular, you're just giving out your cover letter and CV to companies that were not expecting your application. So that is the example of an unsolicited letter, my lord, unsolicited letter. You also write letters when you are inquiring or seeking quotes. So So for example, if you are writing towards Ma'ali shop, if you saw the price for gumboots and you want to know how much are these gumboots, and then you write a letter seeking quotes or inquiring the price. For the price. Another reason is applying for financial assistance. So if you're looking for sponsorship, again, this is one reason why you will write a letter. And many more reasons. So, but as long as you are familiar of the reason why you are writing this formal letter towards a company or towards an organization. So for example, this scenario is you went into a garage or you went to a mechanic to give in your car and you received ill treatment when you gave in your car, and you know the owner of this car is Tupae Niki Perese and the name of the company is Car Parts and Repair. The specific location is Tanunga Manono and of course in Apia. So this is just an example. So again, if you look at the letter on the top, there is the dates, which is on your top right hand side, and then you misalign on the left. On the top left, you have the inside address. Below the inside address, Afio Ngai, that is your salutation. After the salutation, you have the subject line. Good. Subject line, which is complaints about the poor customer service yesterday, which is your subject line. You have 1, 2, 3 body paragraphs. Yours sincerely, which is your complimentary close. Then Sione Tangata is a person that wrote the letter, as you can see in the signature block. So good. Let's read the letter. Afionga Tupae Perese, Chief Executive Officer, Car Parts and Repair, Tanunga Manono Apia. Afiongai. Complaints about the poor customer service yesterday. I hope that you have received this letter in good health. This is regarding the poor service I received yesterday with your company. I write to lay a formal complaint. Yesterday I was served by a young lady named Sina, who originally dealt with my car on the 1st of December 2021. She charged me approximately 200 tala for the price of a new window, with the reason that she could not fix the old window. However, it has come to my attention that she replaced my car window with a second-hand window. I asked her about the window, and she told me, and I quote, "Piss off, old man. This attitude is very appalling and unprofessional." I felt very ashamed, as there were other customers nearby. I pray the near future that no other customer will ever experience this treatment from your staff. Do not hesitate to call me on 732-4521 or email tangata21@gmail.com for any clarification needed of the matters stated in this letter. Yours sincerely, Sione Tangata. So why do you think this person used yours sincerely? That's correct, because they have mentioned the name of the person who they are writing to, Afionga Niki Tupae Perese, in the letter, and you can see that in the inside address. So let's look at our activity for today. You will read the scenario below and write an unsolicited letter. So let's read the scenario together. You are a student organizing your school's TVET exhibition. You are writing a letter to SAP, unsolicited letter, to seek sponsorship and financial support for this event. It will help promote the different forms of wealth evidence in your school by students' projects and art forms. It is planned to commence on Friday, the 16th of September 2022 at your school field. Include your contact details, phone number, or email address so that the person receiving your letter can contact you. The letter is to be addressed to Awhionga Tofilau Fitileng Y, SAP Chief Executive Officer at Sinai Street, Tungafuafua, Apia. So I'll give you 5 minutes to write a letter, and then we will discuss your letter in comparison to the example I'll put on the board after our 5 minutes. Okay, the last part of our lesson is always remember the layout styles. Always remember to use full block layouts. Places each part of the letter against the left hand margin of the page. So avoid using the center alignment. So all of the words will move towards the end or the center. Remember to use the left margin. So all of the sentences will start from the left margin. Open punctuation omits punctuation throughout each part of the letter except the body. So what is the summary of today's lesson? Always remember that there are 2 types of letters: solicited letter and unsolicited letter. So solicited letter, we all should understand by today that solicited letters are letters that are expected. So you are writing based on an advertisement that was given in the newspaper, TV, a magazine that you have seen, and they are expecting you to write towards that company or organization. Unsolicited letter, they did not expect you to write. Always remember the 9 C's or principle of writing a letter: clarity, completion, correct, concise, concrete, courtesy, consideration, coherence, and candid. So always remember writing a letter with a purpose and following the correct format. 8 parts of a letter. Your letter should have a letterhead. If you are writing on behalf of an organization or a company, so your company or organization should have a letterhead. If you're writing on behalf of yourself and you do not have a business or do not represent an organization, there is no need to have a letterhead. Always remember the importance of writing a date and the type of way to write the date. Put down the date as Monday, the number of the day, 22nd of July, 2022. So avoid using numeric dates. Receiver's address, so the inside address is very important. If you are unsure of the receiver's address or the inside address, make sure that you do your research. Make sure that your facts are correct and the person that you are writing to, that information is correct. Salutation. If you know this person personally or if you know of this person, always remember that there are always general salutations if you're not sure. For example, dear sir, dear madam. But if you are writing to the person and you are unsure if they are a sir or a madam, you can always say to whom it may concern, because the last thing you want is to give an incorrect salutation, because that person will feel offended. The subject line, always remember, it's between 6 to 10 words, short and simple and straightforward, and this indicates to the person receiving the letter the reason of this letter. In the body paragraphs, always make sure that you break up those ideas and have at least 3 to 4 paragraphs. Complimentary close, always remember the difference between yours sincerely and yours faithfully. Yours faithfully, if you do not know the name or have not mentioned the name of the receiver inside your letter, your inside address, or also the salutation if you did not mention the name of the person, so you will have to use yours faithfully. Yours sincerely is when you have mentioned the name of the receiver inside the inside address and also your salutation. And always remember, before you submit your letter, is to sign your letter in the signature block, because this indicates that you have written this letter.
So how are you going with your activity? That's great. Okay, let's look at the example that I have put on the board. Always remember to remember the different parts of a letter. The first part we need to understand is the date. The date is on your right hand side on the top part of your letter. So today's date will be Wednesday the 22nd of June 2002. The next part is your inside address. Remember, it is below the dates but on your left hand side. So the inside address will be Afionga Tofilau Fiti Lengwai SAP Chief Executive Officer Atenai Street Tungafuafua. The next part of your letter, you need to have your salutation. So the salutation is below the inside address, and we're going to use Afiongai because we've already used Afionga in your inside address. So always remember the salutation, it complements the inside address. Below the salutation you have the subject line. So this is your subject line. According to the scenario that we talked about today in your activity, you are seeking financial support for Asolele College TVET program. Always remember, like I said in our lesson today, that your subject should be less than 10 words. So if you count the amount of words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words in your subject line. Good. And then you have the body of your letter. Okay, let's all read together. I hope this letter reaches you in good health. I would like to greet you in the name of our Lord and Savior, Talofa Lava. We write to you to be in your favorable consideration our letter seeking financial support. The next paragraph. Our school plans to host a TVET exhibition on Friday the 16th of September 2022. In the efforts to support TVET students and increase awareness about the importance of TVET pathways. However, our school needs financial assistance to fund this event. We hope for your favorable consideration and we will await patiently for your response. For more information, do not hesitate to contact Sinale Asolele on 786-7541 or email a.sinale@gmail.com. Yours sincerely. Always remember, yours sincerely, because you have already mentioned the name of the person receiving this letter, who is Afionga Tofilau Fiti Lengwai. And then your signature block, before your name, Sinale Asolele Head Girl, Asole College TVET Exhibition Organizer, then make sure you put your signature there, and that states the originality that you wrote this letter. So hopefully that you have learned something very important, especially how to format your letters. Always remember to mention the person you are writing to. Make sure that your paragraphs and sentences are short and simple, easy to understand. That's all for today. Until next time. So